It's a great day to play, everybody. Welcome on into the channel. Whether this is your first time here or you are rejoining us, thank you so much for being here with us today. You're loved, appreciated, and you're always welcome here in this channel. I wasn't expecting to do this video today. I had all my content set for today, but curiosity kills the cat, guys. Okay, so yesterday we did Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and it was an amazing video. I thought that I had missed a ton. You guys apparently said that I picked up a lot for my first time. I have gone back and watched it once or twice since, but many people said that there was a couple of good explanation videos, that this one that we're going to watch today, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, What Does It All Mean, was probably the best video that also wouldn't spoil anything from like the BU storyline. Because apparently there are some videos that will do that. I did actually already order, because just like I did with Those Who Walk Away from Amelis, I ordered that, and I'm going to be reading that tonight because that's what I have times for tonight. I also yesterday night ordered Demian. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Demian or Damian. I'm not certain, but I do have that on order as well. That should be here in the next couple of days. So I'm going to watch this, and then I actually intend on, once I finish the book, I actually want to come back and maybe give some more insights that I might see from the book once I've read it as well. But I love, like, I'm a huge fan of literature, specifically classic literature. I was in a bunch of classes when I was still in college that I did in terms of not just regular literature, but like philosophical literature and stuff like that, and some philosophy kind of there weren't normal philosophy courses. They were like made for debates. There were like debate courses in philosophy, which is really cool. And a lot of people in the comments said like this video is even used to like talk about some of these things and to write essays and stuff on. So I'm very excited about it. I think it's really cool. So my plan is to do this for you guys today. I didn't have it planned originally, but I like was so curious that I was like, no, I want to watch it. So I'm gonna record this for you guys. Now, somebody else had given me a really good idea of like trying to maybe set some of like the more documentary series or the docu-series stuff on the weekends, and then doing regular videos or MVs during the week. And I think that we're actually going to probably try that, unless there are things that come up that like just like strikes my eye. I think that we're going to try to do that and try to get through one or two of them. But that means that the remainder of this week, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be watching, somebody was kind enough to give me a list of MVs that I should watch before watching the Rise of Bangtan series, because those videos are going to be referenced in there. And so I should probably know about them beforehand. So I'm going to do those in the next couple of days, and then we'll get to the series this weekend and we'll start there. I really do appreciate you all. I appreciate your concern. So many people are like, take it at your own pace. There's so much here. I'm so excited about it, and I want to keep doing it. So the likelihood is you guys will probably get a video per day. And this will probably be one of the only groups that I do that for, where it'll be, you guys will probably consistently get some kind of content once a day. So thank you. I purple you. All right, let's get into it though. Huge shout out. Huge shout out on this one to Don't Worry, I'm Not Afraid. Thank you so much for making the video. I will of course have the original links in the description below if you guys want to. Don't forget, like and subscribe, because our blood, sweat, and tears go into this as well. Our journey together. Like and subscribe, hit the little notification bell to know when our next videos come out, and they're live. And let's do this. I'm excited. I'm going to turn the closed captioning on, though, just in case.
At its surface, Blood, Sweat, and Tears is a song about the dangers of temptation, and furthermore, the loss of innocence. The music video provides context through symbolic images, which allows these themes to take on deeper meanings. But what does it all mean, you ask? Let's get cultured AF as we take a closer look.
I hold on. I read Damian. What it all means. I read Damian, so you didn't have to. Seriously, they should analyze BTS videos in school. Like it's so relevant, and I've learned so much. And no one even had to force me to read this stuff. They're such a good influence on the use. You know, I really, 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 truly believe in that. What makes them amazing role models is like they're not there's a stereotype out there of artists, right? And probably a big part of it's timing. But like when artists make it big, like there's a stereotype that they're not smart. And this obviously is not true. But I don't think a lot of the artists out there, especially in Western culture, are out there like really talking about their achievements academically or like the things that they do outside of it. And it's so amazing like how many of them have higher education and like have their masters or going for their masters, and like it's very important for them, and then they put these kind of literary in different, not just literary but different symbolisms in different videos, and that's just very, very cool to me. It's one of the reasons that like I'm so engaged in them, because I love that. Like I love that so much. So really, really cool here. Very excited to continue.
So, it's an understatement to say there's a lot of symbolism packed into these 6 minutes. I know it may just look like every choice was made for the purpose of aesthetics, but I promise you, every single painting, statue, feather, and drop of wax means something. Although there are allusions from multiple sources of literature, each symbol works harmoniously with the next to create a larger system of meaning throughout the video. But let's take this a little at a time. The most useful frame for understanding this video is through the story of Demian by Hermann Hesse. Published in 1919, this Bildungsroman tells the story of Emile Sinclair and his journey to find himself. For further context, the ideologies presented in Demian are heavily influenced by the ideas of the German philosopher Nietzsche. Nietzsche often wrote about the creation of the self, or as he puts it, becoming what one is. He claimed that people must craft their own identity through self-realization, and to do so without relying on anything transcending that life, such as God or a soul. He spoke of the death of God, and a future where we would see the dissolution of traditional religion and metaphysics.
I just want to stop there because this is actually funny. I mean I could be pronouncing it wrong or could have pronounced it wrong, but when we read Nietzsche, we pronounce it Nietzsche, and that may be the wrong pronunciation of it. But when we read some of his stuff in school, it was very, very interesting to me because we kind of actually see a very, very large swath of community that had like I feel like my generation is much less. We have a much lower emphasis on religion, at least in terms when it comes to having to lead us with morality. And, there's all kinds of quotes and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into a religion debate, but there's all kinds of quotes and stuff like how, there's jokes about like how atheists do the right thing because it's the right thing to do and not because like there's some fear of retribution or something like that at the end of the road. And it kind of fits in a lot to what Nietzsche talks about. And like we used to have like serious debates in philosophy because of like people that felt that like that was such a requirement, like religion was such a requirement in order to lead harmonious lives, I guess, in a way. And I mean, like I'm always open to all points of view, and I don't I believe that people have the right to do whatever they want, but I definitely see and feel like our generation is more of what Nietzsche is talking about in terms of the fact like we're growing up and really learning about ourselves from ourselves. We take a lot less from our parents than what our parents did from their parents. I mean, for me, like my growing up, I basically like try to do the exact opposite of everything my parents did. And so there we really are in more of a self-finding era and a self-finding generation. And for better or worse, right? There's all kinds of like mental health things that come into that and issues that we're taking on that we weren't taking on before. But I think that it is extremely important. It's also important, and this is one of the things that I talk about that I don't think Western culture does a good enough job, though, is that we don't try to get younger people, and I'm not just talking about like young adults, I'm talking about like adolescents and kids. I don't think that we do a good enough job of trying to get them to come up with solutions on their own here. Ultimately, we end up doing it on our own because I don't think that many of us feel like our parents are giving us the right guidance, right? Like, yes, we're supposed to respect our elders, but only to the point of that it's the right advice, and that we have to do some self-searching, but you don't really pick up on that until you're probably in your teens. And so I don't think that Western culture does a very, very good job of this, and I think that Eastern culture does a better job of trying to allow for that self-finding. Sorry. Probably going to be a lot of, like, this was not a video I was planning on doing, so I'm just kind of like chilling back. I hope you guys enjoy. We're just going to chat a little bit. I find all of this stuff just fascinating, so.
Nietzsche was, quote, engaged in a positive program to reaffirm life, and so he called for a radical, naturalistic rethinking of the nature of human existence, knowledge, and morality. All of these ideas are central to Demian, as they're what drives Sinclair's journey towards a new understanding of life. Sinclair does not go on this journey of discovery alone, however, for he has many mentors who guide him. His dear friend, Max Demian, is the first and most important mentor. The others include Demian's mother, Frau Eva, and a wise organ player named Pistorius.
So I would have never gotten that right. Like, I'm really, really excited to read the book. I'm really, really excited. Somebody had left a comment saying that, like, not one person, multiple people left comments saying that, like, every single time BTS would go and they would, like, use books or different sources of literature in their works, that, like, sales of those books would spike, which is awesome, right? That people are out there, like, reading and trying to learn, like, that's fascinating. It doesn't matter what the reason is for it. The fact that they're getting people to do it is just amazing. So, I mean, I have now picked up 2 books and watched a movie in my short time watching BTS because of watching BTS, and I find that fascinating.
Anyways, this motif of mentoring relationships is where I'd like to begin. In the opening of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, we see each of the younger members paired with an older member, their mentor. They're still surrounded by symbols of innocence, not yet having embarked on their journey of self-discovery.
The small bike is in the slingshot. And I'm sorry, I'm going to pause a lot. So this is something that I'm trying to do a better job. Like, I've been reading kind of their biographies and stuff. I'm not super familiar. Like, it takes me a while to just take all that information in because there's so many of them. There's 7 of them. That I wasn't as familiar with their age. Like, I know, like, I think that Jin is the oldest and Jungkook is the youngest. I believe that that's correct. But, like, I didn't know where the rest of them really fell into that, and so I didn't pick up on that.
Jin, the oldest member, stands alone,
Okay.
admiring the painting, The Fall of the Rebel Angels. He is about to begin his journey. As Jin gazes at this depiction of the battle between good and evil, Bach's Mass in B minor plays in the background. Jin stands perfectly between 2 doors, one black, one white, one good, one evil. In Demian, Sinclair is constantly being tempted by things that belong to the realm of darkness. He feels trapped in his traditional religious teachings and develops a fierce desire to break free and expand his worldview. In the novel, this is symbolized by the sparrowhawk. Sinclair finds some freedom when Demian introduces him to the idea that the world cannot be categorized into binary categories of good and evil, but rather there is good in all evil and evil in all good.
So this is super interesting. So we have it's just happened yesterday. We had somebody come to the door, and there's like Jehovah Witness and stuff like that that'll come, and you know they gave us a pamphlet, and it was basically like, if you sin, you're just going to hell. Like, literally, that's what the pamphlet said, like, to scare people into it. And it's like these like very, very strict lines of black and white, right? That there is no gray area. And the reality is, in life, like, that's not the way that life works. It's definitely not the way that life works. And the way that they've done that here in this video, because one of the things that I picked up on right away was like the pillars and the color. Like, they've done such a good job with the sets here, and like really depicting from the get-go kind of like a good versus evil motif. And I really, really picked up on that right away. And then combining that with the painting, I at bare minimum got that part, that like that really, really made sense to me. But like, now hearing about kind of the premise of the book, much cooler.
This concept is represented by the god called Abraxas. The deity is neither good nor evil, but rather an affirmation of the existence of both. Furthermore, Abraxas is often depicted breaking out of an egg.
The bird fights its way out of the egg. The egg is the world. Who would be born must first destroy a world. The bird flies to God. That God's name is Abraxas.
This quote echoes the Nietzschean idea that we must think radically in order to be born as our true selves. Sinclair can never find himself if he only acknowledges the realm of light. He must seek knowledge and learn of both realms, therefore destroying the world he once knew. The world that contained his innocence, but also prevented him from growing to his full potential. Part of finding oneself is embarking on a quest for knowledge, and part of this comes from embracing both realms, and in turn, embracing temptation.
I think that this is one of the things we talk, so without getting political, I don't really pay attention to politics in other countries, and I apologize for that, but we have a pretty toxic political world here in the States. And part of the problem, part of the reason for that is because, again, we see things in black and white, and we've painted ourselves into corners, and everything is just like this 100%, if you're not with me, you're against me kind of thing. And it is impossible for people in general to truly understand where their beliefs even come from if they can't at least know and understand the other side. And that's kind of where this talks about, is that you really need to be able to be exposed to things in order to, even if your beliefs might be questioned, being exposed to it allows you to truly be enlightened, I guess, in a way. And that's pretty cool. The other thing is, and I haven't seen enough of their early stuff. I'm sure that my mind would probably change a lot on this if I had seen more of it. But knowing what I know about them, seeing the documentary series and seeing their stories, this is also sounds like it's a very personal tale for them, right? From being so young and early, and then being able to open up with their creativity, but to do so, they really had to open up their minds and kind of get out of their comfort zone and out of their boxes and be able to do that. And then the mentorship that they also had within those, their own group. I think all of that kind of speaks to what's happening here as well. So it's really, really to see that marriage of their personal triumphs and struggles married with this kind of motif, if you may.
Once we take a bite of the apple, we cannot regain our innocence. We now have not only knowledge, but also sin, and there's no going back. The interlude of the music video has a couple of direct connections to Demian that I'd like to discuss. Of course, we have a direct quote that's read by RM, referencing Max Demian as a tempter.
He too was a tempter. He too was a link to the second. The evil world with which I no longer wanted to have anything to do.
Another connection is the reference to Sinclair's mentor, Pistorius, the philosopher and organ player.
So much cooler now.
Pistorius promises to play Sinclair Passacaglia in D minor. This is precisely what Yoongi plays in this scene. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the kiss? What reason could Jin possibly have to kiss a statue? What does it all mean? Let me fill you in. Here we have another allusion to the end of the novel. I'll set the scene. Sinclair is wounded in battle, and Demian appears to him. Demian tells Sinclair that if he ever needs help, he need only look inside himself, and he will find that Demian is within him. Demian then kisses him on the lips and disappears. To me, this is the moment the entire music video hinges on. There are multiple layers of meaning to the kiss. Firstly, Jin is put in the role of Demian, giving a kiss to Sinclair. But at this point in the novel, Demian is revealed to be merely a piece of Sinclair himself. And so this is the moment Jin realizes he can now be his own mentor, and he has broken out of the egg. He has achieved creation of the self. The other layer of meaning we must acknowledge here is that Jin is finally embracing the two realms. He is kissing Abraxas, the very embodiment of both good and evil. and so he is shedding his former innocent skin. Throughout the music video, V was shrouded from view under a veil. He was a fallen angel, representing evil and temptation. The moment Jin was able to face him, he destroyed the false world of light he once inhabited and welcomed chaos unleashed. This is what Lacan would call the real. Jin is unsutured from the symbolic order when he faces the rupture between the symbolic and reality. The symbolic order is the world established by traditional religion. It is the world of light where only good things can be worshipped. Facing the real, or the existence of a dark realm, as well as the chaos and darkness within ourselves, allows for freedom and the creation of self I keep mentioning. According to Nietzsche, this rupture is crucial. In fact, it's Nietzsche's quote we see here, engraved above the mirror. You still have to have chaos inside you in order to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The old version of Jin, existing only in the realm of light, begins to crumble. There's no chaos in him, and so he cannot give birth to the dancing star. What this means, essentially, is we must all suffer this fall from grace and face reality so that we can create our genuine selves. It is only once we're armed with this true sense of self, finally knowing who we are, that we can spread our wings and fly.
Ugh. How? This is what I don't understand. Like, they're just so brilliant. I know people talk about like RM being like a genius with his IQ, but like this requires work. This isn't just a music video. Like, this requires so much work to come up with not just a script, but to come up with this storyline, all of this stuff behind it. Now, again, I understand that these are just theories, right? There's a reason for the theories. Like, they were thought out. They didn't put these things in there unintentionally. Even if some of the theories are a little bit off, it's just on a whole nother level. It's just fascinating. Like, where do they find the time?
Like Sinclair, Icarus too wants to be free and soar to great heights, but he aims too high, quite literally, and pays the ultimate price for his recklessness. He ignores his father's warnings about flying too close to the sun until it melts the wax that binds his wings and he plummets to his death. You all know the story. Behind the neon lights, we can see The Lament for Icarus by H.J. Draper. The Icarus imagery continues as we see Jungkook levitating, neither falling nor flying, surrounded by little bits of feathers. In Demian, Sinclair tells Pistorius that he's afraid of dreams in which he is able to fly, to which Pistorius replies, "It is the feeling of being linked with the roots of power, but one soon becomes afraid of this feeling. This is why most people shed their wings and prefer to walk and obey the law. But not you. You go on flying. You discover that you gradually begin to master your flight. Lacking that, you would be drawn up to the heights, powerless, which is what happens to madmen." This, of course, is a direct allusion to Icarus. But Sinclair has better control of his wings, as does Jin. At least we hope he does. BTS's music and videos often tell coming-of-age stories, and the Blood, Sweat, and Tears music video is no exception. This is an important fact to remember as we watch their youthful characters struggle and grow. Although the illusions and symbols in their videos may seem daunting at first, it's important to remember that at their core, these are just stories about growing up. These are struggles we can all relate to on some level or another, and that's what makes them so great. And the massively impressive visuals and choreographies, well, they're pretty dope too.
Woo-wee! Wow. I feel pretty good about where I was. I feel pretty good about what I did pick up on. There were definitely some things that I missed. I didn't see the German quote there, and I wouldn't have been able to read it anyway. And now I really need to read the book to get a better understanding for it. Um, the green I didn't really pick up on as much. Like I remember mentioning it, and like I saw it, but I didn't realize that it represented temptation. I saw that it was being like passed around, and the absinthe was there, which I mean like is kind of like, you know, the whole green fairy thing. Like at the end of the day, like the allure of it. Um, I also didn't really talk about much with the absinthe, but like if you've ever had absinthe before, first off, absinthe isn't green. Real absinthe isn't green. At least it isn't anymore. And but it does get cloudy, and it's very, very bitter. It's very, very bitter. It is not good on its own, and you melt sugar into it to give it a sweeter flavor, and then it gets kind of cloudy. But I think that there was definitely kind of almost like that was even a coming of age, right? Of kind of that mixture and it getting cloudy, and then it changing, like physically changing, and then changing the way that it tastes and stuff. I also wish somebody had mentioned that there was also stuff with the dance that also had things to do with it. I don't know. I don't know enough about dance where I would be able to catch that, I think, um, without probably really going into it. But what a fascinating, fascinating video. And again, the amount of work that they put into this is just it's phenomenal. This is not a normal music video, at least not by Western standards, maybe by Eastern standards. And I'm seeing this in other groups, not necessarily all of them, and not necessarily to this level. But one of the reasons that I'm quickly falling in love with K-pop genre in general, Korean music in general, because it's not. I know that there's a whole thing of like, it's not all pop. I get that. But the reason that I'm falling in love with it so much is just that like the stories that are portrayed in so many of these, and you get these different stories from these groups, it's so much more appealing, right? It's so much more appealing than just the song, because there's like, if I would have heard the song, it would be a great song, but this going along with it is completely different. It's a completely different meaning than if you just heard the song on its own and didn't have the video. And that's wonderful to me. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for the recommendation on this. I really, really appreciate it. I hope that you guys appreciate this. We just got to hang out and do this a little bit today. I'm going to keep going with this. I think also one of the things that I'm going to do, I did add in, if anybody is interested, and again, I'm never going to put things behind a paywall. If you do donate or you do the Patreon, I do prioritize like video requests and stuff like that, but I'm never going to put anything behind the paywall. I'm never going to be like, I'm not going to watch a certain BTS video. The only thing that I can't watch with you guys is stuff that would be copyright. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk my channel. But everything else is fair game. And I did put, I know that a lot of people are on a budget. I put a new level in. It's just a $2.99 Patreon subscription. If anybody is interested in that, I'm going to do some kind of like vlogging and blogging stuff more about my life. But it's not good for YouTube, and there's really not a better place to do that. So I think I'm going to start doing that with Patreon. But I think I might like go into like some of the books and stuff as I start reading them. Like I may like talk about it, and then we'll have like Discord chats and stuff like that. If people actually want to come in and talk about it, if you've read the book, that we might like do that. Like one night we might be like, okay, whoever's read Demian or whoever wants to know about it can come into like Discord, and we'll hang out and we'll just talk about what like our thoughts were on it and how it related to the video. I think that would just be really cool as we're kind of growing as a channel, and I'm kind of just trying to figure out what to do with all of this. I think that would be really, really cool. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Please feel free to leave them in the comments. Join the Discord. Let me know there. I'd really, really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please go ahead, go down, like, and subscribe. Hit the little notification bell so you know when our next video comes out. If nobody told you they love you today, I love you. You're appreciated, and you are always welcome here in this channel. Last but not least, it was a great day to play. Thank you all so much for being here today, and we will see you in the next video.